All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Market Wrap with Arjit Garg, a SEBI-registered research analyst. Today, we are seeing Nifty currently at 24,120. We saw Nifty move 120 points up today. And in this particular session, we'll be discussing about several stocks like BHEL, DMart, Mazdock, and stocks from other sectors as well. So, without any further ado, let's get started. And Arjit, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Pratham, and let's quickly get into what's really happened in the market today. So today's rally was more like a sideways rally. There was no direction there. Although we opened with a gap up in Nifty and Sensex today, but still we had a gap up. We did the rally within the first hour, and after that the markets were stuck in a sideways range. To quickly give you a reading about the market, so Nifty 50 closed with the gains of 0.51%, around 120 points rally at 24,119, which was the provisional closing. The final closing we have got is 24,123. On the other hand, for Sensex, we saw a good rally, gains of 0.46%, around 355 points rally, closed at 77,269. That was the provisional one, and the final closing is now at 77,304. ठीक है फाइनल नंबर्स में एंड प्रोविजनल नंबर्स में देर इज ऑलवेज सम 5 10 100 पॉइंट्स गैप बट द इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इज दैट we touched the support of 24,000 intraday today. See, so if we look at the intraday charts, if we load up the 5-minute time frame, we would see that the intraday low is of 24,004, which means during the day there was one time where profit booking came in. We opened with a gap up, but later during the day that gap was covered, right? So this again puts a check mark on the stuff that we've been discussing in our previous sessions, that whenever there is a gap in the market, be it any stock or be it your benchmark index or sectoral index, whenever there is a gap, that gap will have to be covered. देयर कैन नॉट बी एनी सिंगल प्राइस पॉइंट जहाँ पे निफ्टी है या सेंसेक्स है, दे वुड नॉट स्किप एनी प्राइस पॉइंट जहाँ पे ट्रेडिंग हुई नहीं. जैसे अर्लियर वी सॉ दैट 1% गैप डाउन हुआ था एंड 3% गैप अप हुआ था. तो वहां पे गैप आ गया था दैट ओके देयर आर सम से 500 600 पॉइंट्स जहां पे ट्रेडिंग हुई नहीं. दैट गैप इज वेरी डेंजरस एंड दैट गैप इज बैड. ऑफ कोर्स देयर आर लॉट ऑफ पीपल जिन्होंने अपने सेल ऑर्डर्स या फिर बाय ऑर्डर्स उस प्राइस पॉइंट पे लगा के रखे होंगे जहां पे मार्केट कभी आया ही नहीं. So that is why gaps cannot sustain for the long term in the market, be it your stocks or index. So that concept got checked again once again today. We saw gap up. ठीक है, intraday बढ़िया rally आई. We entered sideways and then profit booking came in around 130, 140. Profit booking came in. We touched intraday low of 24,000. Previous gap, this gap that was created, this gap was covered by the market in that 15-20 minutes trading session, and then we again rose and then ended flat at 24,123. So this was the broad reading for the markets. Okay, before moving ahead, let's quickly look at the top sectors for the day. So here, let me load up the heat map, sectoral heat map. This is your broader market heat map. So here we can see that almost all the indices, you take mid cap, small cap, large cap, Nifty 500, all these indices, they were positive, which means that the market breadth was positive. If you look at the advanced decline ratio, which means how many stocks from Nifty 50 were positive and how many were negative, here from the advanced decline, you can see that majority of Nifty 50 stocks were in gains. There were barely like 10 stocks, 11 stocks that were down. Otherwise, almost all the stocks were in the green. So advanced decline ratio, that's one of the simple ways you can calculate it. Broader indices did very well, which means market में strength थी. Strength was there in the market. And if you look at the sectoral indices right here, you would see IT was among the top losing sector today with loss of almost 1%. Now, why was IT falling? We have discussed this already a lot of times. Not just the AI scare, but also the growth scare is now like quite prominent in the IT sector. Similarly, you see PSU, private banks, and media, they were also, these are the rate sensitive sectors. You know, the rate sensitive sectors that we talked about, that if crude oil is rising, inflation would rise and then rates would again rise, and then we would see a lot of trouble in the rate sensitive sectors. That is exactly what is happening in the market today. On the other hand, if you look at the top gaining sectors, you would see realty, metals, and healthcare. These are among the top gaining sectors for the day, right? So now that we know कि कहाँ पे market में strength है, what are the sectors जहाँ पे everything is going well, let's quickly look at the top gaining stocks before we dive into the next part of our session. So the top stocks, you look at the stock heat map, you see here Reliance Industries, Hindustan Unilever, Maruti, Eicher Motors, L&T, Adani Ports. All of these are the stocks that we have already covered in our past couple of live sessions, and we have already talked what are the strengths that these sectors are going to be. For users who have not been in touch with Zdvisor over the weekend, we have released an awesome video around how the UAE leaving OPEC has an impact on the Indian markets. So we focus there that stocks like Reliance Industries and oil and ONGC, all the oil marketing, not marketing companies, but companies that refine oils and trade that oil with other countries or sell it ahead to other users. Those companies are going to be benefited by the entire thing that is going on, an entire shift in the oil supply that is going on globally. And that exact thing we are seeing on the screen today with Reliance gaining 2.26%, and all the auto stocks, FMCG stocks, and all of those good stocks are doing quite well in the markets today. People.
Got it, got it. Now, before we dig into further stocks, we can look at the global indices and also the commodity market.
Sure. Let's quickly look at the global indices over here. FTSE 100 is closed today. European markets में, UK में it's a holiday today, so FTSE is going to be closed. But yesterday's session, FTSE closed with a loss of, not yesterday, I mean Friday's session, FTSE closed with a loss of 0.14%, around 15% loss at 10,363. But if you look at the other European indices, you look at CAC, which is the French index, or you look at the German index, which is DAX, both of them were in almost a huge loss. French markets were almost 1% down, around 71 points loss at 8,043. Let me quickly load these up on the chart here so we can look at the important levels that we had marked earlier. Right. So let me quickly load up the charts here for CAC 40 right over here. So we had marked a zone for CAC 40 and we were like कि अगर इस zone के नीचे है तब तक the sentiment is weak. And exactly, see the stuff that we talk about, it's actually coming into play on the markets on the screen here. CAC 40 has been under this range for since when? Since 29th of April. More than 3 trading sessions. CAC 40 is below the range that we have marked, below 8,120. And you look at the sentiment is already negative. You can see the weakness on the charts already. If you look at RSI is also below 45, which is indicating again a negative bias in this particular index. Let's look at DAX and reconfirm if things are negative there as well. Well, here DAX is sustaining above 24,205, which was the important level that we had marked, and we were quite sure that if DAX is above 24,205, in a couple of trading sessions we might see 25,500 in DAX. So DAX is again, it did retest the level below that, but it is still above 24,205. So jab tak it is above 24,205, let's not watch it a lot. Let's quickly mark a level which was the weekly high of 24,737. We'll color this with black because this is the make or break level. DAX अगर 24,205 के ऊपर है, so it will have to touch 24,747 before touching 25,500. So like, look at it like a booster. When you launch a rocket in space, तो उसमें क्या होता है, पहले ग्रेविटी एंटी ग्रेविटेशन पुल के लिए have to give him boosters, and after booster आ गया उसके बाद तो naturally ऊपर चला जाएगा rocket. Similarly, for DAX to perform good, we'll need some boosters activated so that 24,747 cross हो जाए. Once that is done, उसके बाद तो वहां से 25,500 की rally would be automatic. That will be natural rally. But until then, this is a tight range जहाँ पे DAX is trading. So this is a key level to watch and the key range to watch. If you look at the US market, Europe में तो everything is negative. Let's look at the US market. You look at ICSIC, which goes by the name Nasdaq Composite. You'd see a sideways trade being there in Nasdaq Composite as well. Nasdaq, for people who do not know, that is the IT index of the US market. So all of the IT stocks, all the AI related stocks, IT related stocks, all of them come under the Nasdaq and Nasdaq Composite index. Let's look at the Dow Jones, which is Dow INC, which is like one of the benchmark indices. Just a second, let me look at Dow Jones. Yeah, this one. So Dow Jones Industrial Average is consists of all of the industrial companies that US markets have. So it's like just how we have Nifty and Sensex in India. ठीक है, अब हमारे केस में तो both of them they do the same job, right? Just the number of listed companies might be different, but दोनों का job same है इंडिया में. यूएस में दे हैव थ्री डिफरेंट बेंचमार्क इंडाइसेस, तीनों के जॉब अलग अलग है. S&P 500 is actually the top 500 companies in the market. Dow Jones are the top industrial companies, and Nasdaq is all the IT companies. Dow Jones, if you look at the trend here, once again, same as Nasdaq, sideways trend है. Nothing major that we can look at. All time high touch किया था, but then profit booking came in, so not much of an activity that we can see here. Negative है, that we know. The numbers are negative. Short term trend is negative, but overall you'd see it's in a sideways range. So nothing big coming up here as well. And before we sum this up, let's look at S&P 500, which goes by the ticker of SPX, and you see a downward trend here as well. Once again, you'd see index had a gap up. On 1st of May, Friday, we saw a gap up, and now that gap is being covered. So until unless this gap won't be covered, you won't see any fresh rally here. So this level that we have to mark here, 7,214 US dollars. This is the level जहाँ पे gap covering would be complete. Even if we have a wick, it does not matter कि यहाँ पे body ही चाहिए इस level तक या फिर wick से काम चल जाएगा. We just have to make sure that in इस gap में trading is done. Wick का मतलब होता है that price is not sustaining, but wick does indicate that trading happened on that particular price point. Price नीचे आया था, वहां से नहीं हो पाया, sustain नहीं हो पाया, या तो sellers आ गए, buyers आ गए. There was a constant fight between buyers and sellers, and then a wick was created. Price could not sustain. That is why a wick is created. So even if there's a wick in this gap, that would still tell us that okay, there was trading there and the gap has been covered. So all in all, if you look at all of the global markets here, the trend is negative, the sentiment is negative. Although the Asian pairs are doing good, but our European US markets are not supporting it. So I believe the trend is negative for global markets. So it's a wait and watch market. Very difficult to predict which way the markets would go in the upcoming trading sessions. Either.
Got it, got it. Now, can we quickly look at Brent crude and then we'll move on to the stocks of action today?
Sure. Let's look at Brent crude now. Brent crude is doing very interesting things these days. You see, 120 was the all-time high, at least the 1 month, 2 month high that Brent crude had touched a couple of trading sessions ago on 30th of April. And you see, once again, even after falling near 110, it's still again it has jumped and it's near 120 once again. Currently trading at 116, 117. So this still tells us that there is some volatility that we can expect in the markets in terms of global stuff that is going on. Maybe the war, something can go wrong with the war. Maybe something new can come up. Maybe due to UAE leaving OPEC, we have the prices up. Whatever the reason may be, volatility is there. That is the important thing. So that was Brent 116. If you look at crude oil MCX futures, which is nothing but Brent crude with the Indian price. So we have crude oil again at 10,045. We had the important zone mark 10,212,9,456, and we had a high marked of 10,485. So on 30th of April, that high was already hit. So we had marked this level accordingly. Let me revise it to 10,514. रेंज जो हमने मार्क करी थी क्रूड ऑयल ऑन एमसीएक्स is exactly in that range on the upper end. So we can call it as a resistance level. 10,219 इस पे ट्रेड कर रहा है, which means resistance के पास में है. If this resistance gets broken, that is when we can see a rally till 10,514 and maybe above that. I won't be surprised if we see crude oil at 11,000 in the upcoming trading sessions, given the momentum that is going on, given the stuff that is going on globally as well as domestically in India. I hope all of the users might be aware about the election stuff and the political things that are going on in India. Just to give you a wrap around the elections and results going on for the Bengal elections and Tamil Nadu elections, Puducherry elections as well as the Assam elections. So a lot of elections are going on, and if you talk about it, there are a lot. It's like history is being made, especially when you talk about Bengal, because Bengal as well as Tamil Nadu. So let me talk about it. So Bengal में I know a lot of people already know the Mamata Banerjee's party, TMC, Trinamool Congress. They were in power for the past three elections, for the past 3 year, three terms, which is somewhere around, I guess, 15 years. So for 15, 20 years, that party, that lady was the one who was governing Bengal, and now all of a sudden, BJP is there, and surprisingly, BJP is winning, which means their citizens, their voters are now voting for a change. Same thing is happening in Tamil Nadu. You see, Tamil Nadu, mein, there were two parties which, like the voters, they always had two options. Either they had DMK or they had AIDMK. But now, all of a sudden, there's a new party which is TVK. See, Tamil Nadu, mein, there one thing is very common that all of the big political parties, they are owned by celebrities, big celebrities, actors. They're quite famous, and they form political parties and they try to help the citizens. So DMK and AIDMK, both the parties are created by actors and good filmmakers. But now TVK is also among one of those parties which is formed by a very popular. I cannot pronounce the name, so I won't take the names here. But it's created by one of
Vijay
the
Talapati.
sorry.
Vijay Talapati.
I am not sure about it, but yeah. So TVK is again winning in Tamil Nadu, which means that their voters are also voting for a change. Now, similar stuff is not just happening in West Bengal and Tamil Nadu. We are seeing in Assam and Puducherry as well, where BJP is leading the election. So BJP is coming in those areas as well, and some or the other way, this is a positive sentiment for India because BJP is the ruling party in India, right? The PM, the entire central government that is formed by BJP. So BJP winning in all of these states, especially West Bengal and Assam and Puducherry, would give us a big push for the markets. And that is why we saw a gap up in the market today, because today is the result day. Today is the day when history will get created in all of these states. So that is why we had the amazing gap up in the markets. And if results come in line with the expectations of the market, markets are expecting BJP to win. Markets are expecting good, positive things to happen. If this continues, maybe we'll see 24,300 in the upcoming trading sessions. If not, maybe we can come down to 24,000 or 23,850. But below 23,850 would again be very difficult because there's nothing major negative, big negative, which is happening in the markets. All in all, these are the broad things that would really, drive the markets coming forward.
Perfect, perfect. Ajit, before we close up, do you have anything major to add on?
Yes, just a couple of stocks that I'd like to talk about. I believe we missed on talking about the stocks. So,
Yes.
BHEL and Godrej Properties are a couple of stocks that I would like to talk about. BHEL, again, I know almost everybody who's tracking the markets, they already know the bumper results that BHEL has introduced. And margins, they've seen expansion from 10% to 14%, huge net profit growth, awesome company. And the best part about this, not just that the results are good and the results ke basis pe the company is running, but also that BHEL as a stock has given us approximately 52% returns in a single trading month. A quick disclaimer here, BHEL was recommended by us to other clients and they might still have it in their portfolio. But BHEL has given you good, huge returns, 52% in just 1 month. And now the results are good, so I'm expecting BHEL to continue this rally above 420 and above 440 as well. Not a buy or sell recommendation, just a view based on all of the previous data that we already have for BHEL. Talking about Godrej Properties as well, if I just load the chart here for Godrej Properties, you'll see amazing rally here as well throughout the month of April, you're seeing at least 20-25% rally in Godrej Properties. Results are good, but what is even better for Godrej Property is the management commentary and the guidance that is coming in for the upcoming quarters as well as for the upcoming financial year. So again, an awesome stock that people should definitely add in their watch list. Now, these are the two stocks that people should watch, and maybe BHEL might be among the stocks that almost everybody's been watching in. But I'd also like to talk about one stock that people by default they added in their portfolio. So when you talk about defense theme or defense sector, Mazagon Docks is a stock which is in almost everybody's watch list. If not portfolio, watch list में तो definitely होगा. Because Mazdock is a stock that was trending in since 2021. So this stock was maybe trading at around 200, 300, and it rose to 2,000, 3,000 rupees in just 2 years, 2 financial years back in 2021-22. So that is how people know about Mazdock, and that is why they're all crazy about it. But what's negative here for Mazdock is that the results are not very good. So Mazdock's results are quite flat, I would say. Not big negative, but flattish के उस पे है results, and that is why suddenly people were not expecting flat results from Mazdock because their order book was quite well a couple of quarters ago. The net profit, revenue, everything was going good. Okay, the financial ratios were maybe not that good. The company was already expensive. The book value turns to be the company is very expensive. It still is expensive, but people were not expecting such flat or bad results from Mazdock, which is why we saw a disaster in Mazdock today around 10%, 15% down. Another stock that people really focus on is DMart, which goes with the name of Avenue Supermarts here. The results were not great last quarter either, and the last financial year also the results were not very good. The same trend is being following right now in current quarter, current year that the results we have seen. The stock has been in a tight range for the entire month, and I believe if we break down the level, break below the level of 5346, I believe a fresh low we can see at 4190, and maybe this gap would be covered and we would come down to somewhere around below 4000 level. So Avenue Supermart is an important level to watch. If you're taking any fresh trades in Avenue Supermarts, a short position, if you're taking in below 4346, your targets would be 4190 and 3983. But please make sure to have a stop loss, a strict stop loss above 4612, because 4612 is the high that Avenue Supermarts had touched in the month of April. So that should be a strict stop loss. So yeah, these are all the stocks that I'd like to talk about. Three stocks, two stocks where the results were good, and two stocks where people have to maybe create a short position or just avoid trading in those stocks for a couple of quarters. Repeat.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you for a very overall well-rounded, quick session. Let's catch up tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Thank you so much for joining, everyone.
Thank you so much.